Hey everyone, and welcome back to What Did I Miss? Where today I'll be breaking down all the Easter eggs and references from the 7th episode of the 4th season of Star Trek Lower Decks, titled A Few Badgies More. As always, if you'd like to hear my review of the episode, along with my theories on the rest of the season, be sure to check out my weekly podcast, WDIM News, which gets released on Mondays. And don't forget to leave a like on this video to help support Lower Decks as well as this channel, and subscribe so that YouTube will let you know when my future videos come out. The title of the episode is a reference to the classic Sergio Leone spaghetti western film, For a Few Dollars More, which starred Clint Eastwood. This is the second time that Star Trek has referenced a movie created by this duo after the Next Generation episode A Fistful of Datas was an homage to the film A Fistful of Dollars. This episode begins with a flashback as we see a Drukmani ship retrieve some salvage that turns out to be the remnants of the advanced artificial intelligence known as Badgy. This is the second time that Lower Decks viewers have seen this scene, as in the Season 3 finale, The Stars at Night, we saw a mysterious tractor beam retrieve the remains of Badgy from the wreckage of a Pac-led ship. Badgy is just one of the AIs featured in this entry of Lower Decks, and he was first created by Rutherford in the Season 1 episode, Terminal Provocations. Rutherford meant for Badgy to act as a training program on the holodeck, similar to the old real-world pop-up Microsoft Office assistant program Clippy, which is what Badgy is also based on. However, due to a malfunction, Badgy became very hostile to the point where Rutherford had to kill him, then rebooted the program, thinking that Badgy would have no memory of their prior engagement. This was not the case, and Badgy plotted his revenge until the Season 1 finale of Lower Decks, No Small Parts, where Badgy almost destroyed the Ceritos and its crew after Rutherford tried to use Badgy to help defeat the attacking Pac-Leds. In the end, Shax seemingly sacrificed himself and ripped Rutherford's eyepiece from his head after Badgy initiated a self-destruct device on the Pac-Led ship. It is Rutherford's old eyepiece that the Drukmani are able to salvage in this episode. Badgy is voiced by actor and comedian Jack McBrayer, who most people would probably recognize from his role on the old NBC series 30 Rock or from his appearances in the films Talladega Nights and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. The Drukmani are an alien species that so far have only appeared on the series Lower Decks, having been introduced in the Season 1 episode that I just mentioned, Terminal Provocations. After the intro, we see another ship get attacked by the mysterious spacecraft that we have been following for most of the season. The ship that is attacked belongs to the Binars, who are a race of cybernetically enhanced humanoids that live and work in groups of 2 and were introduced in the Next Generation episode 11001001. Coincidentally, that episode dealt with the crew of the Enterprise having to deal with a compromised holodeck program, very similar to how the Lower Decks crew must deal with Badgy in this episode. On the Ceritos, Rutherford is trying to attach a grappler hook to a shuttlecraft, and Boimler along with Mariner both agree that they are fans of the technology. This is a reference to the grappling hook that the NX-01 Enterprise had during its time on the series Star Trek Enterprise. Live-action versions of Boimler, Mariner, and others also stated their reference for this device in the Star Trek Strange New Worlds crossover episode, Those Old Scientists.
So they had the NX-01 there, Archer's Enterprise.
Yeah, classic design, plus it had, the grapplers.
Skip that part, they don't care.
I love grapplers.
See?
After the Ceritos receives a distress call from the Binar ship, they are dispatched to the scene. But not everyone will be going with, as Tendi and Boimler are given orders to travel to Daystrom Institute. The Daystrom Institute is a Starfleet scientific research facility that was first introduced in the Next Generation episode, The Measure of a Man, and is named after Richard Daystrom, a character that first appeared in the original series episode, The Ultimate Computer, and who is responsible for many advancements in the Star Trek universe in the field of robotics. Tendi is there to witness the parole hearing of a character named Peanut Hamper, who debuted in the Season 1 Lower Decks episode, No Small Parts. Peanut Hamper is an exocomp, which are utility robots that were designed to perform menial and sometimes dangerous tasks, but were shown to be sentient in the Next Generation episode, The Quality of Life. After starting as a member of the Ceritos crew, Peanut Hamper refused an order by the captain that would have put her in danger, and subsequently abandoned the ship during a time of need, and ended up in the same floating debris in space that Badgy would end up in. Peanut Hamper returned again in the 3rd season in the episode titled A Mathematically Perfect Redemption, which will probably stand as the weirdest episode of Lower Decks ever. At the end of that episode, she was taken into custody at the Daystrom Institute and placed next to another AI named Agamis. Agamis, who was first introduced in the 2nd season episode Where Pleasant Fountains Lie, is a sentient computer that tricked a planet's inhabitants into fighting a war by posing as a supernatural being. In the episode in which he debuted, Boimler and Mariner crash land on a planet while transporting Agamis to the Daystrom Institute, where Agamis attempts to turn the two against each other, only for Boimler to get the upper hand in the end. Agamis is voiced by the very versatile Jeffrey Combs, who has appeared as more characters on Star Trek than any other actor. The Ceritos arrives at the coordinates of the distress call and find the Drukmani ship that has been taken over by Badgy. When Rutherford first sees Badgy, he has a profane response, which I believe is a reference to Data's same reaction upon realizing that the saucer section of the Enterprise D was about to impact a planet in the film Star Trek Generations. Rutherford confronts Badgy on the ship and confesses that he was wrong in treating him the way that he did in their prior encounter. This causes Badgy to split into two different beings, each with its own personality. This is a reference to the original series episode The Enemy Within, where a transporter malfunction causes Captain Kirk to be split into two people, one good, the other evil. After Agamus is able to escape and capture both Boimler and Tendi, he takes them to a remote beach where he had planned to meet Peanut Hamper. Tendi is preoccupied by playing in the sand, which is actually a callback to the first episode ever of Lower Decks, Second Contact, where she is introduced to sand for the first time in her life. Agamus also uses devices that he refers to as murder drones that look very similar to the drones used by the automated defense system shown in the Next Generation episode titled The Arsenal of Freedom. Back on the Ceritos, the evil version of Badgy has taken over the ship's system and begins to flood the ship with a substance known as neuracene gas. This toxic smoke was first introduced in the Deep Space Nine episode Civil Defense and was used by the Cardassians during their occupation of the planet Bajor. Coincidentally, that episode of DS9 dealt with the crew trying to defeat a deadly automated security system very similar to what Agamus has become now on Lower Decks. Rutherford decides that the only way to defeat the evil version of Badgy is by using logic. This is very similar to the way that Captain Kirk and Spock defeated the evil computer known as Landru in the original series episode titled The Return of the Archons. After Peanut Hamper does not meet up with Agamus after their escape, Tendi is able to find her on the Tyrus Research Station. This station was introduced in the Next Generation episode that also introduced the exocomps, the quality of life. Eventually, Badgy is able to upload himself into a subspace relay that transmits him to every ship in the Federation simultaneously. One of the ships that we see get taken over by Badgy is a USS Vancouver, which was shown in the first season episode Cupid's Errant Arrow, along with Boimler's former girlfriend, Barbara Brinson, who appears to still be serving on the ship in the scene. Badgy decides that now with omnipotent power, he no longer wishes to destroy the Federation, and instead ascends to a higher plane of existence. Before he does, he mentions a place called the Black Mountain, and then sees a koala bear above him. The Black Mountain, along with the Great Koala, are spiritual constructs that revolve around death and have been mentioned a few times before on Lower Decks, as recently as in an episode from earlier this season titled The Cradle of Vexilon, when after it appeared that Boimler had been killed in the line of duty, he saw a Black Mountain and was told by a koala bear that it was not his time. Well, that was everything I saw, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to smash that like button, and I'll see you next time on What Did I Miss?